A 36-year-old man in Lubbock gets basically a life sentence for spitting at police officers. Attorney Charles Adams breaks it down for us in tonight's Making the Case.
We're talking about a case out of Lubbock, Texas, where a man gets 70 years for spitting on a police officer. Charles, tell us, when you first hear this, I mean, do you think this is too extreme of a conviction?
Well, it seems like an incredibly outsized sentence, right? We have a relatively new offense in terms of the penal code of harassment of a public official that involves putting semen, urine, feces or saliva, which seems like it's the least of all the options, on a public servant. And it's a third-degree felony, which means typically you're looking at up to a $10,000 fine and 2 to 10 years in prison. In this instance, because the defendant had already been to prison on 2 prior third-degree or more charges, I think one was aggravated robbery and one was a felony family violence, that his punishment was raised as a habitual offender, which means his punishment range was 25 as a minimum to life as a maximum. And you combine both of those situations in a conservative jury in Lubbock County, and you've got what is obviously a markedly unusual and seems to be somewhat unfair result.
Yeah, it reads that the prosecutor asked the jury to consider a number that would send a message to society. You think that this is going to set a precedence on how people interact with police?
Well, I think a lot of people are ignoring, because it makes a great headline, right? But a lot of people are ignoring the fact that there was other issues in this incident. A woman ran up to officers claiming that Mr. Pearson was armed with a weapon. It turned out to be an airsoft gun, and had just punched her repeatedly in the face. So you have a man who's already been convicted of felony family violence, as alleged to have assaulted another woman. He was allegedly carrying what she believed was a firearm, right? And he didn't just spit on the officers once. He spit on them repeatedly until he was arrested. And then when he got to the station, he continued to do so. So I think it sounds like the defense attorney argued to the jury that this was just a misdemeanor gone awry, and clearly that argument didn't resonate. This is a lifelong criminal who has done some very horrible things, and it seems like maybe he's paying a much greater sentence than any of us would expect, and that does seem absolutely absurd, but not for this one incident, but for a lifetime of violent crime.